win for us. Kimberly Martin is here this morning. Kmart joins the party for our game of Would You Rather. Here we go, Kmart. Now I'm making you the Steelers. Would you rather have Russell Wilson or Justin Fields as your quarterback?
Really, honestly, I'd rather have Justin Fields. I get it. There are a lot of question marks regarding Fields, his ability to throw the ball with accuracy. But I think there's so much I haven't seen. I want to see him in a system where he is the guy from start to finish. I think we watched the Russell experiment. We know the floor, we know the ceiling. So at least, Justin, there's a little bit of intrigue of what could be.
I get that. And I would agree with you with this as a binary proposition. However, Bartholomew, I'm changing the question slightly. Is this good enough? Now, anyone who watches this show knows I'm a Justin Fields fan. I have been going back to his days in college. I hope that he gets a real chance to prove what a good player I still believe he's capable of being. But I do ask you this question. For a Pittsburgh Steelers team that uses the phrase, the standard is the standard, has the standard suddenly become we're better than average every single year, just good enough to get into the playoffs, but not nearly good enough to be a legitimate threat once we get there? Don't they need to do, and I don't know that that move is available to them this offseason, but I keep coming back to either way, this isn't enough.
It's not good enough, right? Because you can't manufacture enough points. You think about the division in which they play in. You think about Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson still ascending. So, like Mike Tomlin, because he's such a great coach, he can muddy up the game. But when you get to the time where it counts the most in the playoffs, you're going to find yourself falling short over and over again. So to do the same thing and expect a different result, it's a true definition of insanity. And, since Ben Roethlisberger, they did a bad job in not preparing for life after Big Ben, and they see how hard it is to find a franchise quarterback. They know what it looks like with both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. That's why I believe that Aaron Rodgers has to be the guy that can get them over the hump. Because if Mike Tomlin can get you there with Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, Aaron Rodgers may be enough to win you one of these games if they're close.
You like that? You like Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think I said here a couple of weeks ago, I think that they need one another. Like, Pittsburgh needs that kind of infusion of experience, someone who has kind of like been through the battles, who hasn't declined all that much. There is some real good tape on him from the New York Jets last year, if you watch it. He needs to be protected. He needs a strong running game. They're going to have to make sure they shore up this offensive line and get some more wide receiver help for sure. Right. But I think he would be the kind of guy that, as long as he is able to buy in, and look, Arthur Smith ain't going to play that, okay? Look, they're going to have to make sure that the relationship between him and Arthur is good, offensive coordinator. I think it could work. I think Pittsburgh, though, look, if I'm Pittsburgh and I'm sitting down there late in the draft in the first round and considering where they pick and the teams after them not needing a quarterback, does Pittsburgh trade down in the draft and maybe pick up a quarterback here late in the first round? But is a guy like Tyler Shuck, I'm telling him to keep beating the drum on this.
That's a name. Tyler Shuck is
that a guy?
Hearing more and more.
Is that a guy that would be perfect for this football team, who has a big arm, lots of mobility? I was talking to Arthur Smith about him at the Combine. Keep an eye on this.
But even with that, Aaron Rodgers would be a great mentor, because Mike Tomlin is going to start coming under pressure, because we haven't seen him win a playoff game in a long time, even though the team they're just stuck in the middle, and that's the worst place to be.
So, Bart, and you feel like the Steelers should get Aaron and draft a quarterback? So you're done with Fields and you're done with Russell?
Yes. It was
what do you think of the idea of them getting Aaron Rodgers? And by the way, when Louis says they need a receiver,
first of all,
Devontae Adams is available.
Let me be very clear.
Yes.
I might have been one of the first people to mention Aaron Rodgers on this show, going to the Steelers, as a joke, though. Because I said selfishly, because I said it, when the season ended, I was like, wouldn't it be great? Because now the Jets, we think they're going to be done with Aaron. Wouldn't it be great if you put Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers just for the cinema of it? But from when you look at the Steelers, it's a franchise where you ask people in the league, what are the Steelers going to do? They're like, I have no idea. And it's because they've gotten themselves in this QB purgatory of we're not good enough for the top picks. We're not bad enough for the top picks. We're not good enough. And that's the problem, because they stuck at number 2 and got Kenny Pickett, and it wasn't good enough. I like Aaron Rodgers. Say what you want about Aaron Rodgers, but in the locker room with some of those guys, like, those were genuine relationships. Like, he was like, you can say what you want about him.
Right.
But he was, and we do, but how he was with certain guys, it was real. A lot of guys that I did speak to one-on-one, they were very high on Aaron for the type of person he was. I think that'd be a great fit in Pittsburgh. I just don't know. Justin Fields, it's his birthday today. He's only 26 years old.
Right.
The fact that we've given up on Justin Fields is a shame to me.
The one that doesn't make any sense to me is where we go next, Louis, because I keep hearing Aaron Rodgers' name connected to the Giants. I don't understand that from either side.
Nope.
If you're the Giants, would you rather have Aaron Rodgers or Cam Ward?
Oh, this is easy. It's Cam Ward all day long for a number of different reasons. Look, I think, number one, the Giants need a foundational quarterback, both now and for the future, and Cam Ward represents both. This guy is, and look, I don't say this lightly. This guy was considered one of the greatest leaders in Miami Hurricane football.
Yeah.
Okay, Mario Cristobal, who played on some of the great teams ever to lace him up down there in Miami, has said as much about this young man. And on top of it, he's a pretty damn good quarterback who can throw the football. That's the kind of guy that you need to get and pair him with a limit.
Let me show you what Jordan Renan posted yesterday. He covers the Giants for us, and he posted, quote, multiple league sources left their meetings with the Giants this week thinking a trade for the #1 pick with Tennessee was likely. In that scenario, they expected it to be for Miami's Cam Ward. You like it?
I don't, because this is a maybe. And you talk about
what do you mean? What's a maybe?
We don't know what Cam Ward is in the NFL. So you talk about a pick that can represent the now and the future, because now you have a regime that may be on their way out. You don't want them to mess you up for the future. The person that represents the now and potentially the future is Sam Darnold. You talk about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow. Sam Darnold is younger than Lamar Jackson. Sam Darnold threw 35 touchdowns last year.
Did you just say you prefer Sam Darnold over Cam Ward?
Yes, I do. Because you know why?
New York Giants. No. Add the context.
Let me add the context. The context is it's going to cost you 2 1s and 2 3s for Cam Ward. You're going to mortgage the future. You have an opportunity with Sam Darnold to pair him with maybe the best prospect we've ever seen in football, in Travis Hunter. You can lock down that corner and give him on the offensive side of the ball. You have money. Sam Darnold costs you maybe $40 million. You can get a poison pill 2 years and get out of that contract and still allow you to be there. If he busts, you're right there for Archie 2 years later. So you have an opportunity to have flexibility with Sam Darnold, and you can also make this team more talented. This team needs talent. This team doesn't need some savior that you're going to give up 2 1s and 2 3s for to move from 3 to 1.
Okay, if I'm Joe Shane and I'm Brian Dable, a rookie quarterback gives me a little bit of cushion.
No, it don't.
I think it does.
They're under the mandate. They're going to get that ass kicked regardless. Have you seen their schedule? Have you seen their schedule? It don't matter who they bring in. It's barbecue chicken. And if you give up all your draft,
well, I'll tell you what. This may not be Joe Shane's pick anyway.
5 seconds.
Okay, this may be John Mara's pick. Because, he may be thinking they're all about it. Some gun for the future.
27 years old, Louis Kirk Cousins. The revitalization of Sam Darnold, and I think J.J. McCarthy is a guy they can win with. They can stack the deck. Cheap quarterbacks.
You know, Kmart, in your notes, you filled in the blank by saying they are a big fat question. What does that mean?
Yeah, because maybe Bart knows something I don't.
I do.
But I've never seen J.J. McCarthy in the NFL. If you're going to bring up the point about Cam Ward, we know what Cam Ward is in college. We don't know what he is. Like, the same thing with J.J. McCarthy. We've never seen him. So, yes, you can plug and play. I believe in the Vikings system of coaches. I believe in that defense and the weapons that they have. But to say, oh, they are clearly a Super Bowl contender, I've never seen this QB under center in the NFL.
Yeah, look, I think they are. I think they're a playoff team, without a doubt. I think I've seen enough of J.J. McCarthy, both in college and then in the brief stint that he had in the preseason there against the Raiders, although that was, I believe, week 1 and he got hurt. I believe in the fact that this kid has nothing but upside, has a lot of mental horsepower. They have a great coaching staff. I think they're going to be right there. I think they're not going to skip a beat. And I think he is just going to burst onto the scene on fire this year.
Well, what he said is cool.
But it's risky.
He said Super Bowl contender.
I mean, they're walking away from a guy who threw 35 touchdown passes last year. If indeed they do wind up walking away from Sam Darnold, it's not just assuming you're just going to plug in a young player and do that, I think, is a big assumption. We'll see. Louis, next one is for you. Fill in the blank. Shedeur Sanders being drafted ahead of Cam Ward, which could happen, would be what?
Shocking to me. It would be shocking. And look, I love Shedeur. Love his father, love everything that they accomplished at both Jackson and in Colorado. But I will tell you this. Look, I just think Cam Ward is uniquely qualified to be a franchise quarterback, both in terms of his mental makeup, his story, what he has been through, the resilience that he has shown. And then let's just get to the football part. You want to talk about a guy who has a lot of mental horsepower, who has the quickest release in college football, who can see the entire field and touch the entire field as well or better than any quarterback in this draft, and who did it at a consistently high level as measured by every metric, whether it be in the pocket, outside the pocket, against pressure, clean pocket. He aced them all this year. This is his time. He'll be the first quarterback.
Mel mocked Shedeur Sanders to the Jets at 7. You were just at the Combine talking to people. Is it your expectation he will still be on the board at 7? I am of the belief he will get drafted earlier than that.
I thought so too, but we always see from the time the Combine comes to the time April hits that guys move up and down. Shedeur is interesting to me because I think now we're seeing a lot of the commentary about his personality. Talking to people, I've heard that he is brash. I've also talked to a lot of people who are very high on him from a character standpoint. This kid, he's Deion's son, so he's very confident. But if you want a quarterback to turn over your franchise, that's a good thing. The question that Louis brought up was the football. On the field, can he be the difference maker? And most teams I speak to say that Cam is the guy that they have more faith in than Shedeur.
Really quickly, Bart, you know the Jets better than anybody. Should that be the guy they want?
I mean, it's not the guy that they want, I think. I think they would take Mason Graham or they would take Cam Ward. But I think if he falls to them at that value at 7th, I think they can't pass him up. I've known Shedeur since he was running around the locker room with Deion when I was in Baltimore. You know, the question about Shedeur isn't the talent, the poise, the professionalism. It's his size. It's his ability to push the ball down the field, the arm strength. We know that everything above the shoulders is elite, but he's not the greatest athlete, kind of like Geno Smith.
All right, we'll see. I got one more I want to get to here because this one gets interesting. Bart, give me a fill in the blank here. Saquon Barkley, you probably saw, folks, he got the huge contract extension yesterday. Saquon Barkley's 2025 season will be what?
I mean, I think it'll be good. I don't know if he'll ever top the season that he had this year.
Right.
I mean, it was a magical system, formula, everything was right. But I think Saquon Barkley is a guy that I'm so happy for. I think everybody's happy for that. Good guys can't finish first in this league.
Yeah.
He got everything that he deserved, but I just don't know if you can ever. We always have that one season that's the magical one. I think last year was the magical one for Saquon.
Okay, well, so I want Louis Riddick to explain his tweet because when the news of this contract came out yesterday, Louis Riddick, I'm following you as always, of course, on Twitter X, and you tweeted, organizations fail players as much as or more than players fail organizations. C1 Saquon Barkley before he joined Philly and now after. Explain that tweet.
Look, we talk all the time about how organizations fail quarterbacks in particular. It's not just about quarterbacks. It's about every position. And look, Saquon, when Dave Gettleman drafted him, when Brad Holmes drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, many people thought, look, you just don't draft running backs that high. You'll never get your return on investment. If you surround certain players, especially certain transcendent players like this, who play a very dependent position like running back, with the kind of offensive line that is needed, the kind of consistency in the coaching staff that is needed, this kind of consistency at quarterback, weapons on the perimeter, this guy will give you the return on investment that you need. The Giants simply didn't do that. They simply failed the player. Now, yeah, he got hurt while he was there, and people say, well, since he got hurt while he was there, who's to say he wasn't going to get hurt when he got to Philadelphia? Well, it seems like the Philadelphia management wasn't concerned about his injury history, now were they? They just knew that they had the pieces in place to go ahead and support a guy like this who now is looking like one of the great running back prospects to ever lace him up in the NFL.
Right.
So what I'm saying is this. Dave Gettleman wasn't wrong in drafting the player.
Right.
It was what he did around him that they got wrong over and over and over and over again. Saquon, so look, for me, I guess what I'm saying is this. Before you're so quick to always label players a bust, or this guy can't hack it, or this guy can't, isn't mentally tough enough, or maybe this guy didn't have the speed that was necessary, this guy's not smart enough. Pause. And take a look at what's around players. It's a very dependent game.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just think we need to be careful because we're so quick to do that all the time with players.
I would add to what you say that, I think that we have rewritten so much of Saquon Barkley practically single-handedly led the Giants to the playoffs 2 years ago.
He did.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley made Daniel Jones a very rich man.
Got him a lot, yeah.
He gave Brian Daboll the coach of the year. That was all Saquon. Saquon elevated the Giants when he was there. They just weren't good enough for him to elevate them to where he elevated Philadelphia.
I think in that building, that's why the Hard Knock scene is so, it still stands out for us with Joe Shannon and John Mara, because John Mara seemed to be in that room the only person who understood the value of Saquon,
Yep.
the type of leadership, the type of character, the type of professionalism, and also he is the face of our franchise. You can debate whether running backs should be paid a lot of money, but when you have somebody who is special, who is uniquely talented, you have to have conviction and build around them, to your point, Louis, and the Giants repeatedly.